Welcome back. It's Friday today. I did pay my bills yesterday, Thursday, 1st May. It's Friday today. I have to go the weekend, not spending money this weekend and next week. And the whole month, I'm waiting for my next YouTube money, the 23 or 26. So I have plenty of time reading, so let's reading this fighter jet. This F-15EX. But this is not English vlog videos, or just reading on Wikipedia. So why I do this? Because I like to learning something new. I'm soon age 16. I never go to library and put all my books in the garbage. Because I have to move out my apartment, so I put all my heavy books in the garbage. Because I cannot move around like 300 heavy books. And I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to collecting 1,000 old books to my apartment, like many thousands of kilos.
Boeing F-15EX Eagle II. The Boeing F-15EX Eagle II is an American multi-role fighter derived from the McDonnell Douglas F-15E Strike Eagle. The aircraft resulted from U.S. Department of Defense DoD studies in 2018 to recapitalize the United States Air Force's USAF tactical aviation fleet that was aging due to curtailed modernization, such as truncated F-22 production, from post-Cold War budget cuts. The F-15EX is a variant of the F-15 Advanced Eagle, a further development of the F-15E design initially intended for export and incorporates improved internal structure, flight control system, and avionics. The aircraft is manufactured by Boeing's St. Louis division, formerly McDonnell Douglas. The Advanced Eagle began with the F-15 Saudi Advanced, which first flew in 2013, followed by the F-15QA Qatari Advanced in 2020. The F-15EX had its maiden flight in 2021 and took advantage of the active export production line to reduce costs and expedite deliveries for the USAF. It entered operational service in July 2024. The F-15EX is expected to replace the remaining F-15C/D in the U.S. Air Force and Air National Guard for performing homeland and air defense missions, and also serves as an affordable platform for employing large standoff weapons to augment the frontline F-22 and F-35. The Advanced Eagle in this configuration represents the current baseline in F-15 production. Development, edit. In the 2010s, the United States Air Force, USAF, was facing an incoming shortfall of its fighter fleet size in the 2020s due to deferred and downscaled modernization plans from budget cuts following the end of the Cold War in 1991. And the focus on asymmetric counterinsurgency warfare after the 11th of September 2001 terrorist attacks. The USAF's procurement requirement of 381 production F-22s to replace its fleet of air superiority F-15A-D fighters was curtailed to just 187 in 2009. In order to retain adequate numbers of air superiority fighters, the service planned to extend the service of 179 F-15C/Ds to the 2030s, well beyond its originally planned retirement date. also referred to as F-15 2040C or Golden Eagle. These jets would have upgraded avionics, including active electronically scanned array, AESA, radar, infrared search and track, IRST, and a new electronic warfare suite called the Eagle Passive Forward/Active Warning Survivability System, EPORS. Some of these upgrades would be shared with the F-15E fleet, such as EPORS, whose development contract was awarded in 2015 to Boeing and BAE Systems. However, by the mid-2010s, the F-15C/D fleet was aging beyond the point of economic sustainability and would not be serviceable by the 2030s due to structural fatigue, while the F-35 was facing delays, resulting in a requirement to recapitalize the fighter shortfall as legacy F-15s retire by the 2026. Restarting F-22 production was considered cost-prohibitive due to the high non-recurring startup costs of rebuilding the production line and sourcing replacement parts vendors. Meanwhile, Boeing had been developing upgrades for the F-15E for export customers, and a substantial update to the air vehicle design resulted in the F-15 Advanced Eagle. The F-15 Saudi Advanced was the initial variant, which first flew in the 20th of February, 2013, followed by the F-15QA, Qatari Advanced, ordered in 2017. In 2018, following a series of cost assessment and program evaluation, OSD studies indicating that a mix of 4th and 5th generation fighters would allow the USAF to more affordably recapitalize its fighter fleet, the USAF and Boeing began discussing the F-15EX or Advanced F-15, a proposed single-seat variant based on the F-15QA to replace USAF F-15C/DS. Eventually, both single and two-seat variants were proposed, called F-15CX and F-15X respectively, with identical capabilities. The USAF opted for only the X to reduce costs, since only two-seat F-15 models remained in production, and in 2019, 8 aircraft were included in the FY 2020 budget request. This would enable the use of the existing F-15 production line with minimal non-recurring startup costs to quickly bring additional fighters into service, and also was a way to support Boeing's St. Louis division in order to maintain diversity in the U.S. fighter industrial base. The F-15X improvements included the AESA radar, IRST, and EPORS from the existing F-15 upgrade programs, while combining the benefits of the F-15QA, such as the revised structure with a service life of 20,000 hours, new cockpit and flight controls, and the proposed AMBER, Advanced Missile and Bomb Ejector Rack, system to enable the carriage of up to 22 air-to-air missiles. Although it is not expected to be as survivable against the latest air defenses as the 5th generation F-22 and F-35, the F-15X can supplement the former in air superiority missions by performing homeland and air-based defense, enforcing no-fly zones against limited air defenses, and deploying outsized standoff weapons in support of stealth fighters at the front line. In July 2020, the U.S. Defense Department ordered 8 F-15Xs over 3 years for $1.2 billion. The F-15X made its maiden flight on the 2nd of February 2021. On the 7th of April 2021, its official name Eagle 2 was announced. The FY 2021 Defense Appropriations Bill funded F-15X procurement at $1.23 billion for 12 aircraft, bringing total orders to 20 aircraft with 144 total planned. By May 2022, the USAF reduced its orders to 80. The first operational F-15Xs are not to receive conformal fuel tanks. The Air Force's proposed budget for fiscal 2024 includes funds to buy 24 more F-15Xs, which would bring the planned fleet up to 104 aircraft. Design, edit. For the base design that the F-15 Advanced Eagle was developed from, see McDonnell Douglas F-15E Strike Eagle. Overview, edit. The F-15X is a variant of the F-15 Advanced Eagle family of aircraft, a further development of the F-15E Strike Eagle design beginning with the F-15 SAF for the Royal Saudi Air Force. The Advanced Eagle consolidated several upgrades to the F-15E developed for export customers, including full integration of the General Electric F-110GE129 and the AN/ALQ239 Digital Electronic Warfare System, DEWS, that replaced the legacy TEWS, and introduced a revised wing structure for increased service life. An enhanced cockpit originally proposed for the F-15SE Silent Eagle and digital fly-by-wire control system that replaced the original hybrid electronic/mechanical system and enables the activation of 2 additional wing pylons. The fly-by-wire eliminated flutter modes causing stability issues that resulted in the 2 outboard wing pylons being deactivated in earlier F-15 variants. Starting from the F-15QA for the Qatari Emiri Air Force, the Advanced Eagle introduced a further revised wing structure that increased service life to 20,000 hours. The new Advanced Display Core Processor 2, ADCP2, mission computer, and a new cockpit with a 10-in 19-in, 25 cm 48 cm, large area display, LAD, each for the pilot and weapons systems officer, WSO. Based on the F-15QA, the F-15X incorporates the Raytheon and /APG-82 V1 AESA radar, BAE Systems and /ALQ-250 Epauls, and the Lockheed Martin Legion pod with an /ASG-34 V1 IRST-21 sensor, in contrast to some other Advanced Eagle variants. The USAF F-15X does not have the BAE Systems and /AR-57 Common Missile Warning System, CMWS, although the blisters for these sensors were retained in order to minimize production changes and maintain the same aerodynamic profile for the fly-by-wire system. The F-15X's large payload capacity enables a high level of flexibility. In a typical air superiority or escort configuration, the Advanced Eagle can carry 12 air-to-air missiles, either the AIM-120 AMRAAM or AIM-9 Sidewinder short-range missiles. The AGM-88 HARM can also be carried. Using proposed expanded racks and CFT weapons stations, it can potentially carry 16 AIM-120, 4 AIM-9, and 2 AGM-88 HARMs, although this has not been tested or funded. For precision strike, it can carry 16 GBU-39 small-diameter bombs, 4 AMRAAMs, 1 2,000-pound joint direct attack munition, 2 HARMs, and 2 fuel drop tanks. The F-15X can carry multiple large standoff munitions such as the AGM-158 JASM, or outsized munitions like the AGM-183 ARRW to bring additional firepower behind the frontline F-22 and F-35. While the Advanced Eagle's strengthened structure makes it heavier than earlier F-15 variants, the digital fly-by-wire control system and the increased dynamic thrust envelope of the F-110-129 engines provide it with substantially improved maneuverability and handling characteristics over legacy F-15s and enables the pilot to maneuver aggressively with no angle of attack limits. The fly-by-wire also makes the aircraft much more departure-resistant and tolerant of asymmetric loads. Avionics. Edit. While not as survivable as the stealthy F-22 or F-35, The F-15X nevertheless incorporates advanced integrated avionics and protective countermeasures systems to improve the pilot's situational awareness and increase survivability. The F-15X SAPG-82 V1 radar, initially designated APG-63 V4, combines the AESA antenna of the APG-63 V3 with the processor of the APG-79 V, found on the F/18E/F Super Hornet, as well as a new cooling system and radio frequency tunable filters, RFTF, to enable simultaneous radar and electronic warfare functions while integrated with the AN/ALQ-250 Air Force Electronic Warfare Suite. Leveraging the work and experience from AN/ALQ-239 use, the Air Force is a digital system that provides all-aspect radar warning receiver function and threat geolocation. It is also integrated with the AN/AL-47 chaff/flare countermeasures dispenser system. Both the pilot and WSO can use the digital joint helmet-mounted cueing system, DJHMCS, to cue weapons at high angles off bore sight. The Legion Pod's ASG-34 V1 IRST-21 sensor provides the F-15X with a passive means of threat detection, especially against low observable threats in the radio frequency spectrum. The F-15SA and F-15QA mounts the AN/AA's 42 Tiger Eyes, the precursor to the IRST-21 sensor, on the targeting pod pylon. While the aircraft can be operated by a single pilot for basic air superiority missions, the backseat is fully missionized to support AWSO for complex missions and can potentially support the manned-unmanned teaming coordination with uncrewed collaborative combat aircraft. Although employed primarily as an air superiority fighter to replace the F-15C/D and complement the F-22, the F-15X can employ the Lantern and Sniper XR pods like its F-15E precursor to perform ground attack. The avionics has an open systems architecture to facilitate potential future upgrades. Operational history, edit. United States, edit. The first F-15X was delivered in March 2021 and flown to Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. A fleet of 6 aircraft formed the test force to support development and operational flight testing. The first 2 aircraft conducted weapons separation tests and participated in Northern Edge and Combat Hammer in May and August 2023. The third aircraft was equipped with additional communications equipment, a redesigned forward fuselage specifically for USAF requirements, and was the first equipped with Air Force. The F-15X test program is able to save time and money because many systems such as the fly-by-wire and cockpit displays were already tested on the F-15SA and F-15QA with export customer funding by Saudi Arabia and Qatar. The F-15XS integrated test and evaluation Phase 1, which consisted of weapons trials, integration with 5th-generation fighters, and mission systems testing, was completed in August 2023. Phase 2 was cancelled due to planned aircraft upgrades of later lots, and a follow-on operational test and evaluation, FOT&E, is planned. In August 2020, the USAF announced plans to replace F-15CS of Air National Guard units in Florida and Oregon with F-15Xs. On the 18th of April, 2023, the USAF announced that the California and Louisiana Air National Guards would replace their F-15C/D fleets with the F-15X. On the 25th of May, 2023, it was announced that the 173rd Fighter Wing at Kingsley Field ANGB, Oregon, would become a formal training unit, FTU, for the F-35 rather than the F-15X. Basic F-15 training, for both the F-15E and F-15X, will instead take place at Seymour Johnson AFB, North Carolina, from 2026 onwards. On the 5th of June, 2024, Oregon's 142nd Wing received its first F-15X with the fighter landing at Portland Air National Guard Base, while the second arrived a month later. Initial operational capability was declared on the 10th of July, 2024. Israel, edit. The Israeli Air Force ordered 25 F-15IA fighters based on the F-15X and plans to upgrade 25 F-15Es to the F-15IA standard as of 2023. In 2024, the number of new-built F-15IAs was increased to 50. Saudi Arabia, edit. In addition to the 84 F-15s purchased in 2011, Boeing discussed the sale of 54 F-15Xs to Saudi Arabia during the 2024 World Defense Show in Riyadh. If the deal goes ahead, Saudi Arabia will look to upgrade their fleet of F-15s to the same standard as the X. Potential operators, edit. Egypt, edit. A U.S. agreement to sell F-15 Advanced Eagles to Egypt for the Egyptian Air Force was announced in March 2022. A contract needs to be finalized after price and delivery date are determined. Indonesia, edit. In February 2022, the U.S. State Department approved the sale of up to 36 F-15IDs and related equipment to Indonesia. As of the 21st of November, 2022, Indonesia's planned purchase of F-15s is in advanced stages and awaiting final sign-off from the government, as stated by the Indonesian Minister of Defense. Speaking after meeting his U.S. counterpart Lloyd Austin in Jakarta, Prabowo Subianto said that Boeing had agreed to the financial offer proposed and he is confident the package is affordable. In June 2023, during a Ministry of Defense press conference, it was stated that the contract for the F-15 aircraft is still in the discussion stage with the U.S. government. On the 21st of August, 2023, Boeing and the Indonesian government signed a Memorandum of Understanding for the purchase of 24 F-15X fighters. Poland, edit. At the Polish International Defense Industry Exhibition, MSPO, in September 2023, Boeing pitched the F-15X to Poland. However, there were no specifics on price or delivery. Thailand, edit. The Royal Thai Air Force is seeking multi-role fighters to replace the F-16A/BS it has in service. On the 31st of December, 2021, the ATF Commander-in-Chief announced that the Air Force proposes to buy 8 to 12 F-35 Lightning IIS in 2023. On the 12th of January, 2022, the Council of Ministers approved the first batch of 4 F-35As. On the 22nd of May, 2023, a Royal Thai Air Force source stated that the United States Department of Defense implied it will turn down Thailand's bid to buy F-35As, and instead offer F-16 Block 70 and F-15X Eagle II fighters. Variants, edit. For description of earlier F-15 Advanced Eagle variants, see McDonnell Douglas F-15E Strike Eagle F-15 Advanced Eagle variants. F-15SA. The F-15SA, Saudi Advanced, is the initial Advanced Eagle variant for Royal Saudi Air Force and the baseline from which the F-15X would be developed from. The F-15SA has the older and /APG-63 V3 radar and /ALQ-239 digital electronic warfare system, DEWS, and /AAR-57 common missile warning system, CMWS, and an /AA's 42 Tiger Eyes IRST mounted on the targeting pod pylon. F-15QA Ababil. The F-15QA, Qatari Advanced, is the direct predecessor of the F-15X, further development of the Advanced Eagle for Qatari Emiri Air Force with the introduction of the improved cockpit with large area display, LAD, and a DCP-2 mission computer. The F-15QA has an /APG-82 V1 radar, and /ALQ-239 DUs, and /AR-57 CMWS, and an /AA's 42 IRST. In June 2017, Qatar signed a deal to buy 36 F-15QAs for $12 billion. $14.7 billion in 2023, which included weapons, support, equipment, and training, with up to 72 approved by the U.S. State Department. On the 22nd of June, 2021, Boeing announced that it will integrate an Elbit Systems anti-jamming systems into the F-15QA, allowing it to fly into heavy electromagnetic interference environment uninterrupted. F-15X. Two-seat variant for the U.S. Air Force. The F-15X has an /APG-82 V1 and /ALQ-250 Legion pod with an /ASG-34 V1 IRST-21 sensor, but no an /AR-57 CMWS. F-15IA. The F-15IA, Israel Advanced, is a variant for the Israeli Air Force based on the F-15X. Proposed variants, edit. F-15CX. Proposed single-seat variant for the U.S. Air Force with equivalent capability as the F-15X. Not procured due to single-seat Eagles no longer being produced. F-15GA. Boeing offered 90 F-15GA, German Advanced, fighters to Germany as replacements for its Tornado IDSs and ECRs. Luftwaffe chose 35 F-35 Lightning II and 15 Eurofighter Typhoon, ECRU variant, instead. F-15IDN. The F-15IDN, formerly F-15ID, is a proposed export version of the F-15X for the Indonesian Air Force. Operators, edit. Main article, list of McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle operators. This article only covers the F-15 Advanced Eagle variants. For the operators of older legacy F-15 and F-15E based variants, such as the F-15A/B/C/D, F-15E, F-15I, F-15S, F-15K, F-15SG, see McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle and McDonnell Douglas F-15E Strike Eagle. Israel. 1 Israeli Air Force, 50 F-15IAs on order as of 2024. Qatar. 1 Qatar Emiri Air Force, 33 F-15QAs delivered to Qatar out of 48 planned by July 2023, 2 kept in the US for testing. 1 Flying Wing 5 Al Udeid Air Base. 51st Squadron. 52nd Squadron. 53rd Squadron. Saudi Arabia. 1 Royal Saudi Air Force 84 F-15 SAS. 1 Number 3 Wing King Abdulaziz Air Base. 1 Number 92 Squadron. 2 Number 5 Wing King Khalid Air Base. 1 Number 6 Squadron. 2 Number 55 Squadron. 3 Number 7 Wing, King Faisal Air Base. 1 Number 29 Squadron. United States. 1 United States Air Force 8 delivered out of 104 planned. 53D Wing, ACC, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. 85th Test and Evaluation Squadron. 96th Test Wing, AFMC, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. 40th Flight Test Squadron. 142D Fighter Wing, ANG, Portland Air National Guard Base, Oregon. 123D Fighter Squadron. 144th Fighter Wing, ANG, Fresno Air National Guard Base, California, planned. 194th Fighter Squadron. 159th Fighter Wing, ANG, Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base New Orleans, Louisiana, planned. 122